Oh, hey.
So you've got a customer.
Young fella?
No, older dude.
Damn, I just started streaming.
Oh, do you want me to see what he wants?
Yeah, see what he wants, sorry. Okay, let's see if we're alive here. Yeah, I still gotta adjust this headband. It's gonna take a few weeks to get the headband just right. Alright. Hey James, there won't be many people today because it is the middle of the day here in Australia, which means everyone else in the world is asleep. It's okay. Jim, Therese, Cam, Greg, Sutter. Okay, I'm just waiting to hear what's going on with someone out front. Naturally, of course, as soon as I start streaming, someone turns up. That's the way it goes. Arnold G. Alright, so we've got 1466. Let's see, this one. What's happened to it? Been updating macOS, screen went black, switched off, took the Apple Store, set SSD file, changed to another, didn't show the SSD, changed. Okay, so not rightly 100% sure what's going on here, but we'll crack it open and have a look, eh? Let's see, let's go to the overhead. Yeah, it's a little bit dim and dingy, isn't it? Yeah, in spite of it being daylight. Let's see if we can improve that slightly, which means we're going to mess things up. Look at that, I didn't even have to do anything. Seems like OBS forgets to apply camera settings when it first starts up. A bit frustrating. Yep.
Barely breathe, he's smoking.
Oh, great.
Screen.
Success. Yeah, 120 again. Yep. They only had it done in the end of October.
Yeah, he said he's done it again. So 120?
Yep.
And an hour and a half or?
Yeah, an hour and a half. So it's for 2 o'clock.
Around about 2 o'clock? 120.
120, yep. Alright. Actually, maybe I'll just get that out of the way first. Sorry. Easy to just get these things sorted fast. Is it 6S? 6S black. Right, welcome to the iPhone screen change channel. Let's see, where's my magnetics? Wow, that is seriously dark. I don't know what OBS is doing with the brightness and things like that, but it clearly has issues. Yeah, beats me what was going on there. And I need to wear my glasses for these. Yeah, we gotta make money. We gotta make money. I don't mind. This is a success. And I did this a little over a month ago. And the person has managed to do it again. That suits me. Let's see what the previous tech botched up. Corey, home loan's going fun, as it were. There was a mix-up with the... Oh man, the battery has been... What the heck? I don't remember the battery being like that before. That is... Someone's actually put tape over it. That's amazing. Okay. I would not have normally let that go out, but I have a feeling this might have been the person that I said, your battery needs replacing. And they said, yeah, we know, but we don't care. Can you just change the screen and we'll do it next time. And here we are at next time. That is so bad, I'm actually tempted to replace it simply because I don't want to get the blame for it. Yeah.
All good, and you already paid.
You already paid. Okay. Ha! Fun. His battery is no good, but I think I might actually replace it anyway because it's 15 bucks for me, but here comes Shadow. I don't want him to come back with other issues afterwards.
Okay.
And he's a repeat customer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking this battery out. It's puffing up pretty bad already. Well, they wouldn't say they're going to be bricked, but yeah, they're just basically not going to be offered any more updates, which isn't a bad thing. Hey, this isn't even an original battery. This has been stuck down with damn two-sided tape or something. Yep. And it feels like one piece. Yeah, that's... Okay, let's try a bit of heat on that. I could use alcohol, but I kind of prefer not to. Hey, Joshua. What the heck? It's like they've used Tessa tape or something, but only one strip of it. Damn it, I'm gonna have to use alcohol. Right, while we wait for that to soak. Never goes simple, does it? There's always got to be some complication. Attain W. A lot of dirt in this one too. Not all. I'm always happy to get these sort of phones in for repair because, yeah, it is a nice piece of money. And they're generally not a big drama. Generally. Huh. Hey, Palmera. Okay, let's see if that alcohol has... Yep. Yeah. Bravo, nice diagonal stripe there of Tessa tape. completely not the correct way to do this. And I want to grab that with my fingertips. That stuff, now that it's got alcohol in it, it will make my gloves all gummy. Joshua, not real. I mean, you can ask, but there's no guarantee I'll answer. But someone else in chat might. Okay, iPhone 6s battery. My usual mantra for questions is just ask, don't ask to ask. But at the same time, if you don't get an answer, that's just the way it goes. Fur kids are good. They do want the extra area of the house, but they're just gonna have to wait. So hopefully, if a miracle occurs, we might have this all sorted out before Christmas. But since we've got this 1 week delay due to the solicitor screw up, then it's hard to say now. Yeah, basically, so what happens is the bank needs an evaluator to come to the property to determine if it's worth them actually, they're going to lose money or they're not going to lose money if we default on the loan. So they've got to work out what they think the property's worth. So the bank then contacts the seller's solicitors, and the seller's solicitors... Oh, sorry, I got that wrong. The bank contacts their evaluator and also the seller's solicitor. And then between the solicitor and the evaluator, they have to work out the timing based on what the seller is willing to do. For schedules and things like that. So we were scheduled, in theory, for yesterday. But unfortunately what happened is the seller's solicitor forgot to forward that information to the final bits of information to the evaluator, and the evaluator came and went yesterday, and we got to around about 3:30 and we're kind of like, yeah, it's a little sus, we haven't heard from them. And yep, sure enough, that's when we found out that the information had not been forwarded on, and thus the evaluator did not arrive. And unfortunately they only turn up here once a week because we are a regional area and they come out from Townsville. So yeah, now we've got to wait till next Monday. So we've got a week of nothing. Jane Zimmy, no, why would I be mad at you? And people have got to build up on your self-esteem. I think there's a few people I get mad at, but no, I'm not mad. We need self-esteem classes. You people are hopeless. Your self-esteem sucks. Pick it up. Feel better about yourselves. DeAndre? Yeah. Lewis is one of the few people I get mad at. Especially when he just blatantly goes around shooting his mouth off, blaming me for everything that isn't my fault. And for the things that are my fault that I find, he then is a terrible, terrible user and won't even give me the time of day to actually show him how to fix it or to fix it for him. Instead he's just like a petulant little kid. Wait, that's redundant. But anyway, sitting in the corner going, no, it's not working there. And it's like, oh, for God's sake, Lucas. Just kidding. I get along just fine with Lewis. But if I was over there in New York, I would probably walk into his office a few times, and I wouldn't be able to give him the physical slap around though, because he is physically a superior person to me. You know, he's got muscles, whereas I don't. And he's younger. Jane, you're paranoid Canadian. Well, I suppose that's acceptable. Yeah, Lewis throwing the Motorola phone against the wall was an interesting. It took a long time to break that thing. I've got to give it credit. I'm just trying to clean up this home button. You already got ingress of dust. And I got something tickling my eyeball. Ah, that's torturous. Just got to get the adhesive tape. Yeah, Jim, I missed the start of it. I did get the end part of it. I was half asleep and a message came through on my phone with Lewis ranting. And I just went straight back to sleep. I was like, yeah. And sure enough, about 10 minutes later, I get another message saying he worked it out. And I was like, yeah, precisely. I think he's being pretty ballsy switching over to Linux. I mean, Linux is user friendly, but it's just a little picky about who it considers friends. That's the problem. It's more like it's admin friendly, techie friendly. But there's no denying there's a hell of a lot of things in Linux that, yeah, are very frustrating. So the trick is to ignore it all and pretend that it doesn't matter to you. And then you're just fine. I just noticed that battery has burned holes in the back plate here. Tony W, I don't know. I think it was Microsoft that persuaded him. He said something about he's tired of all the security issues in terms of personal security. And I think since Ubuntu removed the Amazon crapware that it had a few years ago, he was content to go back to it. We might have some microphone issues, I'm not sure. I need to work out how much I have to attenuate the signal before it becomes stable. It does seem to be, well, it seems to be a gain control issue. I couldn't find a sufficiently long USB extension in a hurry. Ach, niemand, come on. Gotcha. You always keep pushing and wiggling it until you get that crunchy transition feel where you go, yep, I know all the key guides and everything else have now become aligned. I couldn't even find the aluminium foil upstairs to try wrap it around, because I was going to do that, just put some aluminium foil around the receiver unit. We got wrong. I'm sure he's got his reasons. We'll see how it pans out. He may switch back to Windows eventually. And I know that OBS issues is where it's doing funky things with his... okay, that's not fitting in properly. What the heck is going on? The connector is not sitting in properly. Yeah, it doesn't have that firm crunch feel. Yeah, there's junk in there. Something's in there. What the heck? That is not my doing. Okay, someone's been stuffing around with this one. Yeah, that's certainly not my doing. I don't think I've ever done anything like that. But that's actually a serious problem. Because they've mashed... Damn it. They've broken the actual... folded the contacts down. Or was it this? Was it me? Did I do it with this? No, there's no deformation on that. Let me check the other screen. It must have happened prior, and I didn't feel it last time. Okay. This is a very real problem. Jason Vilma's watching this, he'll be going... he'll be laughing. Hello, TV. And a few of you are going to be saying, why don't you just replace the connector? It's like, really? Do I really want to do that? The trouble is that even my finest of tools here, as in physically finest, as in size-wise, are having trouble working in this gap. Like, I mean, this is a fairly new number 11 blade, and it's massive compared to... First thing I want to do is clear out the plastic. Well, this is certainly proof of the adage of no good deed goes unpunished, so here I am. I've replaced the person's battery, and now this has happened. And I don't know how to actually clean up this mess. Okay. Swan Morton blades are good. What are they? They sound genuinely hospital like. Okay, at least we're clearing the plastic out, so that's good. Surgeon blades, that's more the term I was looking for. Okay, thanks, Kim. Even my 0.3mm diabetic needles would be too big for this. Okay, that's... So I don't want to try and pull them up without being directly perpendicular, because otherwise I'll just skew them off to the side and make things even worse, and I will have to replace this connector. What a wreck. I might try a new blade. Blooming good thing I got straight to this rather than waiting. Ah, crikey. A dozen blades just pierced into me. Fire truck. Alright, a little bit of a heart starter. Not sure what I can do. Basically, I can't do anything to really secure that any better. It's a train wreck, and I'm just going to have to let them know. Yeah. Hey, Pedro. Hey, Furniture Consortium. Alright, well, we've plugged it in. I'm now going to lift it back up. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm going to lift it up and have a look at what happened, whether the pins got folded back down or whether they spaced themselves out. Well, the looks of it, they did space themselves out. Okay, we did good. Just ensure the new screen has foam on the Touch ID connector. Well, it's snug when it's a snug fit. I'm gonna see if I can steal some foam from somewhere. The battery's got some. Yeah, Pedro, it is. We actually baited you. Figured you'd come running in as soon as someone said MacBook. This is actually intervention. You've got a problem. You need to stop running around collecting MacBooks. Besides, it just leads you to abusing people when they offer you realistic values on what you're trying to sell them. You're an abusive man, Pedro. Yep, Paul, it's pretty typical, isn't it? We end up, instead of just being a screen job, it's now become a battery job, a screen job, and a connector job. And I'm not even happy about that connector in the sense of, if they were proper, if I knew they had the funds, I would, get them to pay for a proper connector replacement. But I know in this instance, it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm already $15 down on the battery. And I'm only doing that because this is the second time the machine's been here, well, the phone's been here in 6 weeks. So I figure I can cost myself a little bit to ensure the longevity of the job. And the worst thing is I've already prepaid. Almost nobody prepays, and I don't like it when they prepay. But no, this one had to prepay. DeAndre, just get the latest, whatever the highest number is. I'm going to change it so basically we just, whatever the highest number is the one to use. House of Moth, no, we were just waiting for you to turn up. Alright, seems pretty safe. Okay, looking good. Alright, now we can do the MacBook. They can go to the rubbish. Special rubbish. Flammable rubbish. And they can go in the rubbish too. Don't need the magnetic pad. And now the MacBook. Whoa, talk about brightness overload. It's another piece of software I've... What? This is a crack up. The camera is set to... Wow. The camera is set to... Come on, Paul, think the lowest brightness and it's still blowing out like that. Oh, hilarious. Please stand by as we experience technical difficulties. Crikey. The problem is that in the more recent versions of OBS on Linux, they have done something where they're integrating the video control facility for the webcams, whereas before OBS did absolutely nothing with that. It was like, you want to adjust the webcams, you do that externally. But they've added probably for Linux camera control systems into it, which makes it complicated, especially for the fact that they don't even check and confirm the settings when you first start up. Yeah, the settings don't get applied until you actually pop up the window, and then it goes, oh yeah, I forgot, I'm supposed to apply the settings. So this is SSD. The board looks pretty damn clean. Oh yeah, Lewis is gonna just, yeah. Lewis it. Nothing I can do about the mic issues right now, I'm sorry. I might put the fresher batteries in, but that's about it. Just trying to see what problems come up. Unfortunately, I got a Samsung SSD, which is not a good sign. Hey, Kevin, Zoltan. Oh, I got nothing coming up on screen yet. The screen is energized. The machine is alive. I'm half expecting a crossed out circle. Yeah, we've got a no folder. Okay, interesting. Wasn't expecting that. I'll plug in one of my SSDs. I wonder if it's an APFS fault. Blue Dog Run, the Samsung problem is just with this particular series. The controllers are failing in them. Other than that, Samsung's fine. Alright. That screw has been chewed out. What the... Okay. Now it's getting serious. Take the battery out. It's that serious that I'm taking the battery out. Furniture Consortium, were you an Aussie football fan? No, not really. No, I'm sorry. I tended to watch American gridiron before I watched Australian football, and I watched cricket before I watched football. Not a huge sports watcher unless it's motorbike racing, maybe some car racing. Yeah, the SSD has been replaced. Things seem to have gotten out of control here. Okay, so it looks like superglue was used to try and get that out unsuccessfully. So we've got a bit of an extraction job here. I'm trying to think the safest orientation for me to do what I've got to do. Because I don't want to damage that. It's a very fine balance between how much pressure you apply on those jaws versus just slippage chance. Because obviously if you've got a lot of pressure on the jaws and you slip, then it's going to be a disaster. Alright, so that's out. They go straight in the bin. SSD saved. Hey Jacob, well, I'm fixing some 1466s, so it's pretty good. Let's have a look, see if there's any other. Okay, so we've got no long screws, so that's good. And this is a 165 board. It's got the short J tag. I know it's not J tag. Please don't get pedantic on me like that. But I'm just referring to common terminology. What's that on there? Okay, I think that's just like a warranty sticker, plastic wrapper foil. And of course you can always read 165 there. I'm going to take this, I'll test the board first with another drive. Yes, MotoGP I watch. I tend to prefer GP2 or GP3 rather than MotoGP 1 or MotoGP is just ordinarily. The racing's better in the lower classes in my opinion. I mean certainly the machines in MotoGP are quite formidable, but I prefer the closeness of the racing of the lower classes. Hey Def Pump, shouldn't you be working? That bong took a long time to come up. I have a distinct feeling that this does not have APFS support. Although I would have thought the 165 would. I have to get my High Sierra stick. Oh no, there we go. Yep, that's good. awfully slow. A lot slower than I would expect, even for the fact that it doesn't have a battery in it. It's okay, 1.6 i5, 4 gigs. Hey Chris, how's it going? Been a while since I've seen you. And this is APFS. Okie dokie, so it does. I'm going to take the board out, have a look on the underside, even though I can't explicitly see anything. Like I said, the speed of it is less than I would expect, even though it was loading Mojave. Can't hurt to pop these boards out and have a look. But I am feeling that it's likely that here the Samsung drive has come to the end of its life, or something similar. I'm starting to wonder whether we're going to see the value of these machines, the 1466, 1502s, 1398s. If we're going to see the value of these machines suddenly start dropping like a brick. Because I think my personal opinion is with the new M series machines, it's kind of what people are waiting for. Like if they used to use these sort, the new M machine represents a significant improvement or change, justify the repurchase cost. And so I think we'll see 1466s, 1502s, 1398s all of a sudden start flooding the market. I could be wrong, but it's just my feeling that we're going to see a lot of them put up for sale as people jump over to the new M1s. Because prior to the M1s, I think a lot of people were feeling that the upgrade options were a bit lackluster. But the M1 seems to present a very nice option for a lot of people. What are the lotto numbers for tomorrow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Equally likely to be that as any other combination. Okay. There may be nothing wrong with this board. It may strictly be a bad solid state situation. Yes, I'm just taking the opportunity to have a look while I've got it. Chris, I'm only from a short distance in the future. Can't make big leaps. And any time I try and declare something from the future and tell you and warn you, the universe warps itself around that. It can't handle people having information from the future. So it destroys that. Yeah, there's odd bits of grime and trash around here, but I gotta admit there's very little. If there's going to be something, maybe it's a sensor fault, maybe a bad heat pipe. I'm getting a fair number of bad heat pipes lately. You can usually tell if you've got a bad heat pipe situation when it runs slow after 20 minutes of operation, but the temperatures aren't running really high. So it's sort of throttled itself back, even though the fans are going flat out. And it's usually an indication that your heat pipe's given up. And if you've got a thermal camera, it's dead easy to see when you have. I've got a video I'll upload of that. I think this is going to be either a sensor fault or a heat pipe fault or strictly a solid state drive fault. So put that one aside for now. So unfortunately, yeah, there was let's see, I was wondering if he's watching today. Are you watching, Mr. Sri, what is it? Sri Darkin? Well, check out that solid state drive on my test system later. Like I have an actual adapter for solid state drives out of Macs. See what's going on. If you are going to buy a replacement solid state drive for your 1466 15s and things like that, then get the Transcend brand ones. Okay, new machine. This one's got a dent in it. That's this. Water damage, no lights on MagSafe. MagSafe works, another errors, missing screws. Oh, nice. Alright, I'm just going to go face view while I take this off. Right, screw missing. Description. Yeah, nice ding. I made note of that when I opened it up, had a look. What the heck? Someone's smashing doors out there. Important to always mark these things down in your notes when you do get a job in. Things like corner dents, chassis dents, all that sort of stuff. Otherwise, you'll be called to be blamed for that later. I would think your skills program pay better than board repair. Not always. Programming, okay, it's the 3437. Programming in theory can pay off, and I will admit there have been a couple of projects of mine that have paid off. But for the most part, programming it's a drudgery of a job. It's not like you're some hacker in a movie having this really cool time. And you and your mates are sitting around and hacking the next greatest Skynet. It's nothing like that. It's just boring drudgery and annoyance and drudgery. The romance of programming is a lie. 376. That's it. Uh, 150,000 being a programmer, yeah, but it's not much fun if you're not liking it. It's okay when you're doing projects that you want to pursue yourself, which is what I do, and then you live and die by your own marketing or your own quality of the what you've created. I would not like to be a programmer for a company though. I think that would drive me absolutely insane. The downside of doing it yourself though is that if there's a section that you don't really want to work on, then you don't work on it. And usually it's a section that's important and makes the user experience better. But you're like, yeah, I know what I'm doing when I use the software. No one knows about that, no one cares. Except the users do care, and it does upset them, ticks them off, and you get less sales. Hey, Micromage. Did programming to have custom production tools? So things like that aren't quite so bad. Particularly if it's a sort of if it's a job that has a very distinct beginning and end, you could sort of, maybe it's a 2 or 3 week project, firmware creating or interface creating, things like that. But if I was to think of perhaps the worst type of job or project to work on, be something like accounting software or content management system, or that kind of stuff where there's it's, and if it is fun, then that's great for you, but yeah, not. And Lewis is my yes. It's a something yeah, icky sticky, and the SMC area is botched. All right, we've got a real job. It's the same. It's the sort of reason why Lewis is bored with board repair at this point, because he's pretty much done everything, and everything's become a drudgery now. Half the reason probably why he changed to Linux is because they thought, well, let's just stir up everything, make life difficult again, so it feels like it's interesting. Hey, Srikar. At this point it looks like it might be the SSD at fault. I'm going to do some more tests later, like sensor tests and things like, because it does seem to run a bit slower than I would expect, even with a known good working drive. It took a long time to boot, things like that. So I'll go over it again with the proper tests, see what's happening, see if I can pick up anything. But that Samsung is in there. They are notorious for failure at this point. So you may want to buy yourself a Transcend 820, Jet Drive 820, and replace that, because the Samsungs, like, they're all pretty much at the end of their lives now. They're just dropping dead everywhere. I'll have a better look at it later, but overall the board seemed clean. I couldn't really pick any explicit fault. It may also be a heat pipe failure, but for the slowness. But for the actual boot problem, I think it could be the Samsung drive itself. Hey Rob. Okay, this is a refurb board too. Yuck. Okay, it's always a bad start getting a refurb board. I know where the big corrosion is. I'm looking for other stuff at the same time. Is that a FRU sticker? I'm pretty sure that's meant to say FRU. Although if they put that sticker on there, it actually should be swapped around. It should be URF'd. Yay, nice. good juicy bit of corrosion. The SMC might be alright, but all the supporting stuff around it is not. Alright, flux and boil. What do you mean no data? Oh yeah, that's right. Every time I turn on the exhaust fan, it causes a EMF spike, makes everything get upset. William, yes, that is me. Of course, Lewis is being facetious. Or at least I bloomin' well hope he is. He keeps using the stuff, doesn't he? Lewis just likes to blame anyone for anything. Classic American trait. Especially a New Yorker. I'm pretty sure he's bored with board repair as well. I know some days I feel it. It's like, oh, here we go. Same trash. Especially to when you start getting repairs that you can't even fix because of lack of parts, lack of board views, lack of schematics or something like that. It just wears you down and you're like, that's it, I've had enough of that. You got to find the right sort of balance between challenge and success. Hey, Hawaii. Blue Dog, it really depends. If the end cap is damaged, then yeah, it's not a good thing. There's a bit of undercutting there. So while this has got a fair bit of corrosion around it, like all of these parts, it's not what I'd explicitly call a smoking gun fault yet. I mean, yes, the corrosion likely is causing the issue, but I haven't found explicitly what is the issue. Because as you can see, now that we've flux and boiled it and then washed it, there isn't really anything blatantly obvious. Probably the worst thing is this cap here. I think it's, yeah, okay, that's a bit loose. But that cap, having a loose end cap there, is not going to kill the board. Or at least I don't think it will. So we actually still have to find the true cause of this failure. It may be that there was a bit of sharing of electrons across the corrosion barrier. I would probably start looking at this one as the blame. Yeah. Is Lewis using a Linux executable? He doesn't need to compile his own. Tony, with the blah 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 blah. You're talking about the microscope and the multimeter stuff? Not microscope. Power supply. I wrote him some new programs for those. I figured I need to do that just to give him half a chance of seeing if Linux was any good. Oops. I've got the wrong tip on here at the moment. Yeah, Tony, I wrote some Linux variants. I already had the template, and I just had to sort out a couple of things. There was a problem with the power supply in that the protocol that it uses, which is supposed to be, well, it is SCPI, it wasn't working. I couldn't get the damn thing to talk properly, even in serial terminal. It was just weird. Anyway, it turns out that the firmware makers didn't interpret the spec correctly, or they made a mistake when you terminate or delimit the command with a line break or a new line. They misinterpreted that and turned it into just the lowercase letter n rather than /n. So that was a bit of a crack up. That chewed up 2 of my days trying to chase that blighter down. Can't say I was too happy. Trying to decide if I should bill Lewis or not. Yeah, I was able to. He gave me special access for a short term for the purpose of, getting that job done. What didn't help is that SDL2 apps don't seem to work well across X over Secure Shell. I don't know why. It's something to do with the renderer. So that did make it a little bit more complicated. Oh, some choice words were absolutely uttered, yeah. I'd say what happened is, the firmware makers made this mistake. They probably wrote it in assembly. They made the mistake, realised they'd made it, can't change it. Easier just to change their Windows software to suit. Hey Peter. Yeah, the train-send ones, you can get cheaper ones for sure, but the train-send ones are pretty much the only ones I know that work properly. The cheaper ones have problems with the sleep-wake cycle. Yeah, there's issues. Pionov knows about all the issues. But yeah, just get the train-send ones. You're still paying about $1 a gigabyte, but it's worth it. And I also had fun with doing the serial connection on his multimeter, because they use odd parity, so it's 2400, I think it's 7-bit, okay, anyway, 2400 and odd parity, which isn't too common, but it had it. And to be fair, the fault here lies more with the documentation for the Linux library. And if you want to set odd parity, you have a flag there. They've got a flag there. It's called like para odd or whatever. But what they don't tell you is that you also have to have the parity enable flag in there as well. And when I tell you like that, you sort of think, well, that would be obvious, wouldn't it? But the trouble is, when you look at the parity enable flag, it says to enable even parity. So you look at it and you go, okay, this is the even parity flag, and then you see the para odd flag, and you go, well, that's the odd parity flag, and you don't think to actually put them together. But that's what you have to do to enable parity and activate the odd parity. So that was another couple of days wasted. Okay, Paul. That's it. So yeah, that's typical of how most of these projects go. In theory, they should take you not more than an hour. In reality, they take you a few days and quite a bit more of your life. Okay, let's see if we can get any sort of reactivation on these. Yeah, all the ones around it are fine, but not this one. So we'll have to replace that part. Alright, so that kind of rotated off a little bit easy. Now I don't know if that was because I preheated by doing the other side first or not. I pretty much have to go through and clean up all the end pads of all of these, see if anything comes loose. I don't think any of these... Oh, actually there's a fracture there, maybe? Those test pads are often a weak point. These ones, they are a little bit corroded, but they're not really cut through. Okay, you moved easy on your pad there. So I might replace those two. Tony, I think it was 27.8 odd one. Yeah, 27.801. Oh, sorry, 801, yeah. And as I said, it's really more the documentation to blame. I made the assumption that one flag only was required as opposed to two. It was because effectively they overloaded the enable flag to also imply even. Okay, Peter, enjoy the sleep. And by doing that overloading of the purpose of the flag, that caused the confusion. What also doesn't help is that a lot of these devices do not have good documentation, not even remotely close. Even the BK390A, the meter, it's very hard to find the technical spec, details for their meter. Yeah, it's all working now. Both the power supply and the multimeter are all working now. I believe he used them both in his stream today. The only other problem that he's going to run into is that with that power supply, it's same with the one that I don't like, where once you start communicating with it, it locks the front panel. I know it's supposed to be a safety feature, but it's also quite an annoyance. And then you have to wait a second or two before you can regain. You have to stop communicating, and then after that it will let you use the front panel again. Whereas with the power supply that I've got, I can be doing all sorts of serial communications with it, and at the same time actually working on the front panel. Chuck Todd, yeah, I agree. Or at least on the uh, odd flag, it should have a note there to say you need to enable the parity enable for this to work. Hey Mel, yep, software developers are the worst. That's why I'm a board repair person. Get some Hershey Kisses down there. Which one was it? I think they're all the same, but middle one. Did you try scoping it to work out the actual board rate? Nope. Nope. I just ran around and started checking other people's code examples, and then I use things like STTY to see what flags are set and things like that, and then eventually the penny dropped or whatever, and I realized what was going on. I think it was somebody's code example that I saw it, because not many people have odd parity in their code examples. But yeah, once I saw what they were doing, then I was like, aha. Paul Gale, maybe. Depends what hat I'm wearing today. You mongrel. Still a bit too hot, that one. So, Death Pump. I had to reverse engineer a unique protocol on some sports timers to work out how to read the output series of decoding. Using 2 scopes allowed me to work out formatting and endings. I hate it when they do that whole sort of thing. Yeah, I hate it when they come up with these obscure protocols. It's like, why? Why did you come up with that protocol? What on earth was wrong with sticking with what is well known? Okay, Alexi, enjoy the call out. Hopefully make some money. I was going to replace these because, like I said, they did swivel on their pads a little too easy. Anyway, it's all sorted out. The other problem is that in a lot of these situations, yeah, you don't have the gear always for it to make it easy, because it's not a scenario that you normally, it's not your everyday thing. And so you're perpetually in this, I don't have the best tools for this job. Instead, I've just got my brain and some minor diagnostics. And it's sort of not worth buying the advanced stuff either, because you're like, well, when's the next time I'm going to use this? Yeah, it might be next week, but it also might be never. By the way, I'm looking like I'm definitely sending back the multi-comp multimeter, and I'm probably going to end up purchasing the GW Instec one. I lose the 4-wire resistance, which kind of upsets me, but hopefully I actually get a multimeter that's out of, well, beta testing at least. I said to Farnell, I said, I don't want to be a beta tester for this meter. I said, I want a meter that works. Not sure yet, Greg. Hopefully they will give me credit, in which case then I'll probably have another 200 or so to pay to get the Instax one. And then I'll be fine. At least the upside is it's got the vacuum fluorescent display, which is far more my preference. Hate hardware protocol implementation errors. Yeah, Chuck, that's another thing too, yeah. So it happens all over the place, and it is frustrating. What about the Siglin STM3? The trouble there is that Element 14 doesn't carry that one. So if I get a credit, I can't use it. They're not going to give me a refund, not after this period of time. Alright, well we've cleaned that up. And let's see if it boots. And if it doesn't, we may have to resort to pulling the SMC. Someone like Juntech. If they want to send me one, then I mean, I'm not after freebies or anything like that. I just want a meter that works, but also doesn't cost $1,000. Particularly considering that the portable B-side ADM that I've got here basically does everything that I need for this sort of work. The downside is it's portable, it's a handheld one, you know, the batteries run out, it turns itself off, yeah, stuff like that. So having the bench meter is a lot nicer. Okay, we just gotta get our flex cables. Let's see, and I don't know. I actually need to get someone to send me a new or near new, like new 1708 space grey full screen assembly. I did contact some people yesterday here in Australia, but they haven't yet gotten back to me. I can get them from China, but I'd rather not. Most of the ones in Australia, though, they're up like $800, and I'm like, it's a little bit steep. Especially considering Apple themselves will install a new one for $875, so yeah. Alright, let's see how we go with this. Yeah, so not scratch to crap. Alright, so that just shut down. Yeah, that's ominous. Alright, we're power cycling. Oh wait, it's a 3437. Just idiot. I was thinking it was a 165. Fix an inkjet printer. Oh no. You fix those by throwing them out, don't you? I've had 2 inkjet printers in my life. I hated them both times. The first, okay, we've got a green light, so looks like we're good. The first was an Epson 800 back in 1989, 1991 maybe. Actually, yeah, maybe 1989. And it was okay, but even at that point I could see it was going to be a disaster. So I switched over to an Epson EPL 5200 laser printer. That was one of the best investments I've ever made. I absolutely raked in the cash with that thing, because I would offer to do short runs of print books for people. And being a pretty decent quality, it was a 600 by 600 DPI. And I had a beautiful paper path system in it. Basically you had a straight paper path option on it, so you could just load up from the back some heavy card stock and stuff like that, and you could laser print onto it. Whereas every other printer around that time was more like a roller coaster ride for the paper. So yeah, the EPL 5200, I think it cost me about $1,600, had to get a loan for it. But I paid that back within a month, just running off books for people. Also bought myself some monster staplers. Yeah, it became a bit of a print shop. No, this will be for a customer, unfortunately. That said, I mean, I can't say no to freebies. I mean, I'm not looking for freebies, but if someone sends me freebies, then I don't say no most times. And by freebies, I mean genuine freebies as opposed to you need to do this and this and this for us if you want this for free. And it's like, well, it's not really free now, is it? It's a conditional gifting there. And it's not that I'm not grateful, but sometimes paying money is actually the cheapest option. That really actually needs to be a bit of a meme or something like that. Sometimes paying money is the cheapest option. Alright, looks like we are up and running. So it was probably that resistor up the top that was faulty. I'll show you which one I mean. 20 Flex BV licenses. To hell, you say. Let's see, 34, 37. Yeah, this one here. SMC reset L, yeah. So I'd say with that one dud, that's why it wouldn't pull out. And I think I'm going to have to quit for today. I'll go get some other things I've got to get done. Whoops, better go back to the overhead. Interesting, that person hasn't come back for their phone yet. Alright, this is slow as anything. So we could still have SMC issues. Or sensor issues, rather. Because yeah, it shouldn't be taking this long to boot. Come on, come on, come on. Seriously? It's stuck in that dreaded spot where it's lining up with the back of the Apple logo. That actually might be because I was last using this stick on a machine that I kept, what was the fault I had with it? Oh, the keyboard fault machine, yeah. There was a 820 machine that I had, and it had this strange keyboard fault where it felt like initially that I had no keyboard or trackpad response, but if you persisted and pressed the button like 4 or 5 times, you would get one character coming up or one mouse click coming up. And everything else seemed normal. In the end, it turns out that the controller, the USB controller, the US5701 or whatever it is, you can't take it from other boards in general. It's like the SMC, you have to take it from the same board. Of course, as soon as I said that, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's obvious. It's like, well, you know, sure, maybe to you. But at that point, you don't normally hear you don't normally hear people saying you have to always take the controller from the same board, at least not for the keyboard controller. Anyway, USB controller. Lesson learned. Okay, Henrik, enjoy the limited amount of sleep you're probably going to get. The fan isn't actually running that high, I don't think. Yeah, it's only at 1100 RPM, 1200 RPM. So nothing going on there. It might have just been recovering because of all the trash I was making it do before. We'll run Valley. If I get 10, 12 frames per second on Valley, it'll be okay. Well, speakers work. That's definitely taken too long to start up. Hey, Hector Hone. Hmm, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, it's... Well, I'm going to have to do more testing. It does still feel a bit sluggish, but it might be just because it doesn't have the battery in it. Oh, it's a 1.3 gigahertz, no wonder. Okay, this is about the slowest you can get on these machines. 1.3, 34, 37, 4 gigs of RAM. So I would consider that to be performing actually exceptionally well. But it would do better with a battery, I think. It's not even pushing high temperatures. Heat pipe definitely works. Yeah, this is 2013, I'd say. Alright, that's it. I'm done for today. I'm going to go do some other things. Thank you very much for dropping in and watching. And yeah, hopefully, maybe I'll do the other machine tonight. We'll wait and see. And I'll go test that solid state drive out and see what the heck's going on with it. You know, maybe it was sent up here for no good reason, but at least I can make the determination. So I'm out here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Till then, you all take care.